For being with him for so many years, it's amazing to see a kid from a man to a grown man.
Going to announce this fight initially, DV allegations dropped. Tank was arrested and it was once again put in doubt.
The fight was canceled on Monday after a civil lawsuit filed by ex-girlfriend Courtney Rozelle accused Davis of battery and aggravated battery.
Calvin Ford broke down in tears on Instagram Live after learning about Gervonta Davis's arrest. His voice shook as he reflected on their long journey, from surviving the streets to grinding in the gym to becoming world champions. He said he watched Tank grow from a lost kid into a global superstar, and now he's watching everything crumble. In that moment, Ford didn't sound like a trainer.
That is crazy. That's why I said this, yo, you can't write this, man. You cannot write this. My experience being gone and all the stuff that I went through preparing me for where I'm at today. You know, man, Tank is older. He had the lessons, getting his lessons of what he got to do to take us the rest of the way. And this is his take us the rest of the way.
He sounded like a heartbroken father watching his son hit the lowest point of his life. What once felt like an unstoppable rise now feels like a tragic ending. Gervonta Davis has been surrounded by controversy throughout his career. Earlier this year, he was accused of mistreatment by the mother of his children, a case that was later dismissed. But almost immediately after, another woman filed a new lawsuit against him, adding even more fuel to the public storm. Even though the first case went away, the back-to-back allegations have damaged his image and kept him under constant scrutiny. Analysts say this is the reality for athletes at Davis's level. Nothing in their private life stays private. Success can't shield anyone from the law, from the media, or from public judgment. In boxing, every mistake becomes a headline, every accusation becomes a talking point, and every personal moment becomes part of the fighter's legacy. No matter how dominant someone is in the ring, what happens outside the ropes can change everything. Boxing legend Roy Jones Jr. also spoke out, saying Davis has been battling personal issues for a long time.
Match never happened. The Paul camp still thought Tank is a big enough name regardless of his previous result to go ahead with this bout. But just as they were going to announce this fight initially, DV allegations dropped. Tank was arrested and it was once again put in doubt. Then the charges were dropped. A week later, they announced the event. So that kind of brings us to today. This event hasn't been smooth sailing so far, and it was almost destined that there would end up being a few more bumps in the road before we actually saw the two facing off. And about as big of a bump as you could really get has now hit the promotion. A civil suit has been filed against Tank, in which his ex-girlfriend accuses him of aggravated battery, false imprisonment, kidnapping, and intentional infliction of emotional distress. While it was also reported by ESPN that a report has been filed additionally with the Miami Gardens Police Department last Tuesday. However, as I'm recording this, there's yet to be any criminal charges. Now, these alleged incidents happened last month, which was after the announcement of the fight. You would think if you're Tank on the verge of the biggest payday he's ever gotten, he would be doing anything to stay out of trouble, yet he continues to find himself in negative situations again and again. But in saying all of this, everything at the moment is very much alleged, and I'm not really here to talk about the validity of these claims. What I am here to talk about though is the impact this might have on the boxing event in a couple weeks time. Now, Tank vs Paul, love or hate the idea of it, was definitely one of the most viewed fights of the year. Although there are rumors of there being poor ticket sales, the at-home audience
and this new lawsuit only adds more weight to his shoulders. He noted that all of this happening right when the Jake Paul fight was planned made the situation even more stressful. According to Roy, everyone in the boxing world knew Tank had past problems, so maybe this isn't surprising, but it's still heavy. And with the fight cancelled, Davis is left dealing not only with legal trouble, but also with the heartbreak of losing one of the biggest moments of his career. Jake Paul also gave his perspective. According to him, Davis was fully sober and completely aware of what he was doing during the incident.
Oh, it didn't work out. Just what were your thoughts on that whole thing?
Man, I really don't want to even have much to say about that because everybody take it the bad way. But all I'm gonna say is this: Jake Paul knew what it was when he first signed the fight. This ain't the first time he had battery against a woman. You knew what it was when you first signed the fight. So don't get mad and cuss him out and talk bad about him now. You knew what it was when you signed up for it. Come on, bro. You know what I'm saying? Let's not do that. I don't talk bad about him either, but don't do the dude like that. No, the dude having a hard time in his life right now. Don't just do him like that, you know what I mean? Because you knew exactly what he was when you signed him to fight the first time. All I gotta say.
Tank's team has kind of been bringing that, like, talking about just some of Jake's past, and more kind of said that Jake said he's actually afraid to fight Tank. I mean, do you think it leaned a little more on that side, and they're just selling it the other way?
I already know what it is. Like I said, I already know. I'll get into it, but no, we all know young guys go through issues.
Jake claimed there was no confusion, no excuses, no blaming anything on intoxication, just Tank being responsible for his actions. His comments add a new layer to the story, giving fans a glimpse of what he believes happened behind the scenes. Of course, these are just Jake Paul's words and not legal facts, but it shows how public Gervonta's struggles have become, with every voice adding more pressure. In boxing, personal problems don't stay in the shadows. They become part of the storyline. And for Gervonta Davis, this might be one of the darkest chapters of his entire career.
Was on Aiden Ross, and he shared a story about Jake Paul, about Gervonta, and he said, look, Aiden, it was 4:15 in the morning. It was 4 o'clock in the morning. Gervonta Davis was sober. He got sober into a car and drove out there at that hour to do this. This guy is extra bad. Let me repeat that. Let me repeat that. Jake Paul said that Gervonta Davis left his house sober and went to Tootsie's nightclub sober. I just want you to put your common sense hat on. How in the world would he know that? Does Jake Paul talk to Gervonta Davis? Did Gervonta Davis tell Jake Paul I was sober when I left the house? Did Jake Paul have a camera in Gervonta Davis's car? Did he have a breathalyzer in Gervonta Davis's car? Did Jake Paul get toxicology reports from 3 days ago from Gervonta Davis? I am just curious as to how in the world Jake could possibly know that Gervonta Davis was sober. Let me tell you for sure, I will have a drink now and then. If I take a couple shots of vodka and I walk out the house, I'm a little buzzed. Sometimes my wife doesn't even know. How do you know, Jake? The answer is you do not. You are just trying to add something to the story to make Gervonta look worse. It wasn't enough that Gervonta Davis was
That's all for today's video. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell so you never miss an update. Stay tuned, more news coming soon.